Joining me now with more on all of this is Senator Bill Hagerty, who previously served as U.S. Ambassador to Japan in President Trump's first administration. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to start with trade because I know you've worked on all of these issues in the first term of President Trump. What would you like to see out of China?
Indeed, Maria. But before I say anything, I'd like to say a happy Mother's Day to your mother and to mine. My lovely wife, Chrissy, whom you know, our 4 kids are here today to celebrate this great day. Happy Mother's Day to every mother in America.
Thank you.
Back to the point. You're right. I worked on trade deals extensively, not only the 2 trade deals we did with the U.S. and Japan, but also with the team that negotiated the Phase 1 China trade deal, which China did not abide by. David's right. I'm so glad he's going to his post now. He's going to be a great ambassador representing America's interest with China. What's happening in Switzerland right now, I'm very excited about. I think there's great potential there. It has to get resolved. And with ambassadors, with leaders like David in the field, I think we're going to have every opportunity then to hold China to account, because that's going to be a critical aspect of this. They have not followed through on their prior agreements with us. We need to make certain that what we strike with them today, what we strike over the weekend and in the days to come, is something that we can ascertain, we can hold them accountable to, and that we can verify.
And of course, your work becomes that much more important right now in the face of some uncertainty around trade. People want to know that tax extension deal and the big, beautiful bill will pass. But one of the key provisions within the legislation that's causing some angst among your Republican colleagues is this proposal to raise the debt ceiling by as much as $5 trillion. The Congressional Budget Office projects that the federal government will run out of money, most likely by either later this summer or early fall. The U.S. national debt, as you know, barreling toward $37 trillion, with the interest on the debt alone at over $1 trillion, due in part by Biden administration spending of $7 trillion. Now, I spoke with Senator Rand Paul on Fox Business This Morning with Maria last week. He said in its current form, he is not supporting this bill. Watch this.
The bill they put forward will allow the debt ceiling to rise $5 trillion over 2 years, all the way through the next election. This is the largest increase in the debt ceiling ever in our country, and it indicates that not only will the deficit this year exceed $2 trillion, that they're planning on it exceeding $2 trillion next year, which to me means they're not really cutting. And if you take the entitlements away, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, if you don't do anything to those entitlements, there's nothing left really to cut. That's not fiscally conservative. And as long as that's in there, I can't support the bill.
Senator, I know you can only afford 3 no votes to get this thing passed. Where are you on this, and what is the status?
Well, I have a lot more faith in President Trump's ability to get long-term effect achieved here. You've seen the DOGE effort. There's a massive deregulation thrust underway. Every conversation is about efficiency, cutting costs, getting more for less. It's going to take President Trump a little bit of time, though. You know how much stimulus was unleashed into this economy. We've got to give President Trump the headroom to sort this out. And so President Trump has asked for an extension of the debt ceiling. I'm more than inclined to grant him what he needs to give him the time and the runway to actually get our economy to a far better place, a much more efficient and effective place, at the same time shoring up some of the problems that have been left to us by this Biden administration that's been outgoing.
Well, you've been very supportive of the president's agenda, no doubt, but I can't say that for all of your colleagues. I mean, look, just last week you had 26 Republicans who voted against codifying the DOGE foreign aid spending cuts into law. That includes Lindsey Graham, John Barrasso, Boozman, Moran, Capito, Mullen, Cassidy, Murkowski, Collins, Ricketts, Kramer, Rounds, Crapo, Scott, Fisher, Sullivan, Grassley, Thune, Hoeven, Tillis, Hyde-Smith, Wicker, Langford, Young, McConnell, Cornyn. They all voted no on codifying these foreign aid cuts into law. Why?
Well, I can't answer for my colleagues. They've all got their reasons, I'm certain. But from my standpoint, and certainly having been a senator who served on the executive branch in the State Department and have seen the actual dispensation of this foreign aid, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to clean this up. And I think if I talk to my constituents here in Tennessee, they've been very clear to me. We need to be fixated on and focused on America right now, shoring up what's wrong here rather than sending our aid dollars overseas. And when you looked at some of the specifics of where our aid dollars were going, it was absolutely disgraceful. This organization has run amok. I applaud Secretary of State Rubio for getting his arms around this, for taking control of it. And we certainly do need to start cutting back. We need to cut back there. We need many other places where President Trump is fixated. Again, he needs a little bit of headroom to get that done. I'm willing to support that. But this is exactly the type of thing that the American public expects to see from us.
Has anything changed? I know that vote where those 26 Republicans voted against it happened a month ago or back in March, but has anything changed since then? They are still pushing against codifying these things into law?
I think as more information comes out and more of my colleagues see the abject waste that has gone on in places like USAID, I think it's going to become easier and easier for them to realize and get their arms around cutting some of these programs. Now, granted, these programs have constituencies that are very vocal in Washington. They've been lobbying very hard, but again, transparency will make a big difference for my colleagues. I certainly hope to see even more of it. I think that'll make it a lot easier to get to where we need to be. That takes time.
Senator, let me get your take on these peace deals that President Trump is leading a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, talking to the Europeans about a potential ceasefire on Ukraine. We don't know if Vladimir Putin will go with it. Apparently, he just launched strikes against Ukraine last night. And then, of course, we're also talking about trade deals. The president's handling so much. Do you believe Japan will be next? You were the ambassador to Japan.
Japan certainly has the opportunity to be next. They're the third largest economy in the world. They have every incentive to step up and take part in what I think will be a transformative situation across the globe. Japan could be a real leader here. If you think about their opportunity to join us from an economic standpoint, from a national security standpoint, again, our largest presence in the Indo-Pacific region is our partnership with Japan.
Right.
We have more U.S. military stationed there than anywhere else in the region. There's
How
every incentive to do
worried
it. I can't put myself in their shoes.
How worried should we be about two nuclear powers at odds, India and Pakistan?
Oh, you're exactly right, Maria. That's a top shelf issue. When you see two nuclear powers like Pakistan and India going at it, it's top concern. That's why President Trump was immediately on it. J.D. Vance stepped up in a remarkably admirable way to leverage his personal relationship with Modi. I've seen President Trump and Modi together. They have a great personal relationship. But it's these relationships and also the gravity of the situation that I think has helped bring this to a quick resolve. I only wish Joe Biden had used his political capital to do the same thing with Ukraine and Russia.
Well, it's just unbelievable when you see all that President Trump is working on. You ask yourself, wow, where was Joe Biden on any of this stuff? But of course, the debt is quite important, and we're expecting the government to run out of money in the coming months. Senator, your colleagues, many of them say this is a generational opportunity to actually cut into the $37 trillion in debt. This is the time to make those spending cuts severe. Do you believe you're going to be able to do that in the Senate? Because the last time we checked, the House came up with $1.5 trillion in cuts. The Senate was at $4 billion.
Yeah, the Senate is actually talking more like $2 trillion in cuts. We're very focused on it. The reason the threshold is lower in the Senate is because there's certain rules there that you can't exceed or you can't fall below. Again, we're leaving ourselves leeway to get it done, but every one of my colleagues that I've spoken with wants to see an even greater number of cuts in this package.
Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much. Happy Mother's Day.
It's always
we
great to be
appreciate
with
your
you, Maria.
time. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.